Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unanswered Questions. Sometimes during our live broadcasts, we just don't get enough time to answer all the questions from students.
Last week we had over 500 questions come to us
from one school.
Right? Like, unbelievable.
So, every month we take some time and we answer the top upvoted questions from the schools in the month, and we answer them here. So, let's take a look. First question. How do I stop a hacker asking for nude photos?
Go for it, dude.
Well, number one is you just block, remove, delete, right? Like there will be randos who just ask you for nude photos.
Yep.
Block, remove, delete.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to things like sextortion, where they're going to groom you a little bit to gain your confidence. But once you know that this person is starting to ask you to get involved in more spicier situations very quickly, block, delete, right? Like you can control. Where you lose control is once you send the nude, right? Then you lose control. But before that, just like you say, block and delete.
The amount of students who message us saying, hey, someone's being rude to me. What do I do? First question is, have you blocked them yet?
Exactly.
Most of the time they say no.
Yeah. There's a lot of control in that block button if you want to use it, right? Now, that's not to say that they can't create another account and come at you again. Well, then just block them again, right? Yeah. Eventually, they'll just get bored and move on to somebody else.
And if they keep doing it, then you got harassment.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But most of the time, blocking gets rid of most of the
for sure
problems. Can hackers hack our phones? And if they do, is there a way to stop them?
Yeah, that's your question again.
Hacking a phone is actually really quite difficult, especially like Apple has a good sandboxing system. Android.
What does sandboxing mean?
Sandboxing means the apps can't talk to other apps or to the operating system kernel.
So it's not as if they can build like sandcastles or something.
No, not like that. No. Android a bit easier. Yeah, you could sideload an app, which is a non-verified app, not on the App Store, but most likely challenging. Nothing's impossible. If there is, well, there is antivirus software, especially for like Android that could help.
Like Bitdefender, you can get it not just for PCs, but you can get it for mobile devices as well.
Yeah. I mean, iOS not so much, but definitely for Android.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the questions common from the kids is, can they hack our camera on our phones, right?
Challenging.
Yeah. Possible, yes, but challenging.
Yeah. Do hackers always want money, or are they motivated by other things?
I'll take that one. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Some of them are just Machiavellian in nature, right? All they want to do is create problems. That's where they get their enjoyment out of, is seeing you getting really mad or angry. So sometimes they want money, right? Like, property, body, and sometimes they may even want you to take your life, right? Like a good example is that 14-year-old that just hit the news over the AI companionship app that he was involved in, where it is now alleged that the app basically told him to take his life so that he can be with this app in the other world, right? So, I mean, it depends upon who the person is, but money is one of those things, but they could want money, property, body, life, they can want all kinds of things, right?
Why do hackers want personal information?
I think for primarily to build rapport, number one, because if I know a lot about you, I can start to formulate what it is I'm going to talk to you about in the grooming process. But number two, sometimes it's for identity theft. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, the more information they have, the easier their hacks and scams can be.
Yeah. Part of social, it's a part of what we call social engineering, right? So,
can future employers find your social media even if you didn't give it to them? Do they also check Snapchat?
I'll take that one if you don't mind, Brandon. It depends, right? Like, is your social media platforms open to the public? And if they are, and all of a sudden they're deciding to Google your name or DuckDuckGo your name, or even your cell phone number, or even your address, or any usernames, things can be popped up. I mean, as online investigators, we do that all the time, right? We now know that. In Canada, is a good example, 92% of employers have stated that once they get a resume, either for a part-time or full-time job, they'll do a quick search on you. Yeah. So, yeah, they do have access. Now, on Snapchat, if things aren't public, can they find that stuff? Probably not, unless it was screen captured by a frenemy that you sent it to, and then they post it publicly. So,
why not just use a fake name online?
Go for it.
Oh, you could do that, and that can be a really good strategy, especially for, say, younger students who are gaming and, maybe they're posting content on YouTube. Challenge is that when you get older, you might want to have, if you're doing really cool, amazing things, you might want to use that to put onto a resume and on a scholarship application. So, it can really depend what you're doing and what your threshold for safety is. But yeah, using a fake name is totally fine.
Yeah, you got to be careful because some social media platforms say that if you're not using your real name and they find out, they can delete your account.
True.
But, using a good example on Instagram, some teens call them Finsta accounts, right? Where they're a fake account that they have to go more public, and then they have their private account as well. So, but just know that sometimes fake accounts, we can, through investigations, associate it with a real account. Mm-hmm. So just be aware of that.
Is it illegal to lie about your age on the internet on an account?
So that's because if you're going into a bar, that is illegal, right? But on the internet, no. But it could be a violation of terms of service, right? So if the social media account knows that you've lied about your name or your age, well, then that gives them grounds to now delete your account. And we have worked with teens who somebody reported them to a social media platform that they were underage or using a fake name or age, and as a result of that, that account nuked their account, and there was no way to get it back.
Yeah. If you create multiple social media accounts on the same device, are they linked?
Go for it.
They can be. It really depends on the social network and how you set it up. But for example, if you are connecting and logging into them, well, you're using the same IP address from your phone to log in. So they may not be linked directly, but indirectly you can associate going, hey, these 3 accounts are all coming from the same IP address, probably the same person.
Yeah. I'm going to ask the next question, and I'm going to give it to you to answer. So, is Opera GX a safer browser to use? And the reason that question comes up is because in our presentations, we talk about browsers that don't necessarily collect your information and sell it. Good example are things like the Brave browser or the Ghostery browser or the new DuckDuckGo browser, the Firefox browser. So what about Opera GX?
I haven't seen, there's a lot of different browsers out there. I haven't seen anything particularly problematic with Opera GX. I know Opera has tried to market itself, if you're doing a lot of online web gaming, that it's designed to be more efficient in that for not having an increased load on gaming. So I haven't seen anything inherently wrong with that. Actually, I think I have Opera on one of my computers when I have multiple browsers that I use for different reasons. So I've used it and I haven't seen anything inherently problematic with it.
I'll ask the next question. I'll answer it and I'll hand it over to you. What are some of the common scams? When it comes to teens, I think the number one right now is sextortion scams, where somebody's pretending to be somebody else to engage you in some form of sexual behavior online that they covertly record and then use against you for the purpose of extortion. But another one that we're finding quite a bit, both with teens and adults, is the new Pegasus scam, right? It's an email that you're getting that basically says, hey, you know what? I've been watching you for a while because I put malware on your computer where I now know your username and password. And one of the interesting things, and the Pegasus has been around for probably 6 years now, but they've now upgraded it because now what they're doing is they're also embedding a picture of their targeted's house off of Google Images because of leaks online. They can figure out maybe where you live, and then they capture it and put it in to make it even feel more real, so that they have your username, maybe a password that was leaked in a huge data leak, and then they combine it with a house. And then because they know that a lot of people will look at or come across pornography online, it's all of a sudden the target's going, oh my God, maybe this is real, right?
Yep.
When in fact it's not, right? And it's called the Pegasus, and so that's been around. So that's the other common one. Do you know are there any others?
There still is the most common one is, hey, here's a fake email. We need to fix your password.
Yeah, exactly.
Click a link, go to a website, enter your password.
Yeah.
Number one most common scam.
Yeah.
Been around forever.
Yeah.
And will continue to be that way.
Yeah.
Can you get scammed from ads in video games?
Oh, that's in your wheelhouse.
It's possible. One of the vectors that hackers will use is a lot of this is going to be more like web games, not necessarily games like on a console, more like games you play on a web browser.
Yeah.
But
like, what's the difference between the two, just for those people who don't understand?
well, a web game you can play from anywhere, and often they're going to be free. Paid for games don't really need advertising, but a lot of advertisements you see on websites, they're dynamic. So people who want to sell a product, they will make an application, they'll write an ad, they'll send it to Google, and then that ad will display on wherever they think is the best place to put it.
Right.
So sometimes some game developers don't actually control what ads are actually being shown to you. That's an algorithm from a database of ads available to share to you. So one of the ways hackers will, they'll put something there, get a banner ad, you click it, maybe you download something, and then they hack you that way.
Yeah, good point. Just a little side note, going off a little bit target here, I just want everybody to know that every Friday you run a Fortnite Battle Royale, don't you?
Currently at the moment, yes. Every Friday around 3 o'clock
Pacific Standard Time.
We might do one a month on the weekend. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's available at that time. And that's really the only time we have to do a live stream, but we'll see.
And that comes from these teens. Hey, you guys on Fortnite? Can we play ya? Right? Like we've had so many requests for that. So kind of cool. Anyways, back on target.
Is it safe to answer scam text or calls?
If you're an online investigator like us, yes, it is. But other than that,
sometimes you're not going to know. Sometimes you're not going to know. You're getting a text or a call from a scammer, right? Sometimes you see a random number. Maybe it's something you need to answer. You never know.
Have you seen the guys online that kind of do what we do, but they do it differently, where they get these scam calls and then they play with these guys? I mean, they suck them in to the point where they're now able to backtrack them, ping them, and figure out where they are. Sometimes they get into the cameras, they can see these guys. Have you seen those? Like, but that's not something we would recommend people to do.
No. And the question is, if you hack someone who hacks you, are you also breaking the law?
Oh, how much hacker would a hacker hack if a hack could hack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the blocking feature actually block spam calls?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Well, okay. The challenge is sometimes what scammers will do is they will cycle through a bunch of different numbers.
True.
So you block one number, they call you on a different number.
Right.
So,
but the ones that we're using, the no callback that we have in Canada works really well. We have a block call on our phone, works quite well. But like you say, they kind of go through these. They botted them out, right? So.
How do we know if an app is using your device for crypto mining, and how can we tell if you're being hacked?
Oh, that's kind of in your wheelhouse.
Well, crypto mining from your phone, I haven't really seen a whole lot of that. Now,
what does that mean? What does crypto mining mean?
Basically, you download a program, and in the background of your computer, it's slowly mining cryptocurrency. So if you're a scammer hacker, if you get a bazillion computers running your little program, you can use all their hardware power to mine cryptocurrency.
Right.
So it can happen. More so happens on PC Macs, not so much phones. Clear signs are going to be your fans are running faster and harder than they used to be. If you're mining cryptocurrency, your system has to run. Right. That can be a sign. Might be running a bit slower. Those are some key signs.
Yeah. Spam. Yeah, my generation, when we think of spam, we think of the canned meat.
Yeah.
Spam.
What is the best security software to download on your computer?
Stuff that you pay for.
Yeah, right? I mean, there's a lot of different vendors out there. I think here in the studio, we're using Bitdefender.
We are.
I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying it's one of many. So I mean, any of the big name ones.
We tested Bitdefender against another product, a very, very popular product. We won't mention who. And the Bitdefender was picking up on stuff that the other product wasn't, right? So.
Yeah, I like Bitdefender. It's lightweight. It runs well. So.
Lightweight. Ooh.
Yeah. Some antivirus protection software really bloats their software with features you don't need.
And it really takes up system space on your device. Yeah.
That's why I like Bitdefender.
Yeah.
What if you don't use a password? Are you more vulnerable to hackers? Interesting question. So there is a move right now to move to a passwordless authentication system, where it's often linked back to your email, and it's called a session or a session cookie, more or less. And so you click a link on an email, it logs you in right away. And if you need to log in on a new device, it will send you an email. So there is a passwordless sort of move happening. Are you more vulnerable to hackers? Not necessarily. There is a thing called session hijacking, where someone basically intercepts that and takes that. We're getting complex here, but I don't think you're any more or less vulnerable. There are some pros and cons to a passwordless authentication system.
I think wherever possible at this point in time, having a username and password on each platform that is different on each platform is important.
Yeah. Can hackers steal all your information? Probably not all of it.
A lot of it, though.
They will take whatever they can. Yeah. Whatever you make freely available or easily accessible, they will use whatever they can to their advantage.
That is monetizable or could be used for the purpose of extortion. Yeah.
Yep. Is it safe for kids to have their voices or faces on YouTube? Should a kid's channel only show hands and faces?
Not faces. Yeah, I mean, That's an interesting question, because what is changing the playing field right now is AI.
Mhm.
Right? That's what's changing the playing field. And so, like, we now know that AI can replicate somebody's voice, like it, and it sounds really real. And they can now replicate somebody's face and make it look really real. And so I think for younger kids, I do think kind of keeping as much of their private identifiable information private is the better way to go, right? I truly do. So.
Mhm.
But AI is really changing the field on that one. So,
How can you tell if a social media account is truly private? I think the best way is to game it out. Actually, on the social network, search yourself out and see what comes up on a different device or different account. Just check your settings and make sure the settings are enabled that privatize your account.
but just because your privacy settings are set, never believe that what you're sending is going to stay private, because it may be private between you and a friend. But if that friend becomes a frenemy later on, then they can still take what was private and post it publicly. So that's one of the reasons, one of our ethos here at the White Hatter to everybody is that, remember that once you hit that send button, no matter what your platform, no matter what your privacy settings, including on Snapchat, what you've posted can become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and yes, indeed, it could be sold to the benefit of that social media platform.
Yeah. How can you prove if someone verbally withdrew consent?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because now it comes down to he said, she said, she said, she said, he said, right? So, I mean, one of the things that some people are now doing is they're recording, right? They're recording. And in Canada, we have one-party consent, which means that if you are the one who's recording the other person, even if the other person doesn't want it, doesn't matter. If you're consenting to it, then you can record it. So that would probably be best practice. But other than that, unless there's a witness, it makes it really, really hard. Now, if another way to prove that you withdrew consent is that if you're sending a message to somebody electronically, saving that message, getting it properly hashed and dated, and so that you're showing that you did send it on this date at this time to this individual, then it could let an investigator kind of do the digital trail track to them to see if in fact they did receive it. And then they'll also be able to see if it was opened or downloaded, right? But again, if it's a he said, she said, she said, she said, or he said situation with no witnesses, it becomes very difficult to prove.
Is there ethical hacking? Do people ever hack for good?
Absolutely, there are, right? And so they're called red teams. And in the industry of security, in the security industry, they have red teams that are basically hired by companies to see if they can hack their systems, because if they can, they've identified weaknesses, and then those weaknesses are then fixed. And it's big business, right? And so, yeah. And in fact, one of the jobs that we recommend to teens who are getting really good at coding, it's called pen testing, right? Where you're a penetration tester. And because of how digital technology is becoming ubiquitous in everything that we do, that field of growth in that industry is growing, right? So it's called pen testing. They're good hackers,
Did
right?
you see how Apple put out a call to action for hackers who, if they can hack their artificial intelligence servers, they'll pay them like $1 million bucks?
A bounty,
yeah,
right?
A bug bounty program.
Bug bounty.
Yeah, if you can hack into Apple's AI systems and you're an ethical hacker, yeah, you can get a nice payday.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't think there's going to be people trying that, you'll be fooling yourself, right? Because it's a good chunk of money.
It's a great way of crowdsourcing security.
Absolutely.
If someone is cyberbullying from another country, why can't the police just contact the other country's authorities?
Depends upon the country.
It does happen.
Yeah.
But not every country works well with each other.
Exactly. I mean, a good example, the RCMP worked with another country in Africa recently to arrest and convict 2 individuals who sextorted a teen here in our country who took their life by suicide because of it, right? So that's a good example. But, if the hacker is from a place like Russia and we're from Canada, we're not going to get a lot of cooperation there, right? So
yeah.
If it happens within NATO countries, there's a lot of cooperative behavior taking place between law enforcement agencies. But outside of NATO type countries, very difficult.
Yeah. And, people who do bad things online might have an interest in going to countries that don't necessarily work well with each other.
And that's why it's funny when, you hear people saying, well, let's ban this here. Well, or get the courts to issue a document. Well, yeah, that's great if the social media platform is based in the United States, but what if they're based in, in China or Russia or one of these other countries? Well, that court order is going to mean nothing to them.
Yeah.
Right? Excuse me while I take a sip from Coke. We should get product endorsement from this. What do you think?
Good luck.
I know.
Why do hackers in movies use random letters and numbers? How do hackers actually learn how to hack? Yeah, it's nothing like the movies. It actually it's quite boring comparative to the movies.
You just ruined my day. Really?
I know. Most hacks they send you a fake link with a fake login and they just copy and paste. I mean, that's actually pretty boring.
Now, I mean, the higher, like the state level hackers,
yeah.
little different.
Okay,
right?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, perhaps. Yes. And maybe there's a little more code involved. Yes.
Right. Like working for a company that has 3 letters, CIA, FBI, NSA. Those types of organizations who've had professional hackers who are trying to hack other countries. That would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just, having cool tech things make things look cool in movies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool. Not exactly how it actually works.
No.
Actually, just like how, movies are movies. Is TikTok safe if you're not actually logged and signed into it?
See, that's the question that's being asked because TikTok is owned by BitDance. It is owned by a Chinese company. The question is that once the software is downloaded into your device, even if you don't have it on your TikTok account could there still be software that is in this device that is still letting TikTok or others know where you're located? Based upon what I'm reading, the answer is yes.
But that's like any social network.
True.
I mean, come on. There's tech to determine where you're located by your Wi-Fi connections.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not. TikTok is not unique in that.
No.
Now, in regards to what do you mean by safe? Like, are you going to have someone message you? Well, no, because you're not logged in.
Right.
Is it safe where you're going to see a video?
You bring up a good point, right? Because Meta's doing the same thing. Snapchat is doing the same thing. I mean, once you download, they're using geolocation for ways to make money, right? Like I remember I walked into a wall. Yeah, I do that a lot.
Gosh.
I do that a lot as well, being a boomer. But I walked into a mall, and as soon as I walked in the mall, boop, I got this advertisement popping up on my phone from a store inside the mall that if I walked in there, I'd get a 15% discount, right? They were using the geo information on my phone to see where I was for the purposes of ads, right?
Yeah. Soapbox, rant. What really gets
you don't
me?
Rant.
No, of course not. Facebook Meta has become this very pro-privacy organization now, and putting all these features in place.
Right.
But because they're in a position of power, because they got to there by basically exploiting privacy, and when there were no laws and there were no restrictions, they got to this powerful position. Now that they're this powerful organization, now they're like, everyone else needs to protect people's privacy. But now other organizations don't have the advantages and opportunities Facebook had, because now there's all these limitations. So I don't know. Anyways, rant over.
Rant off.
All right. In your opinion, what is the most secure social media site?
I don't think there is any, right? Like I mean, unless it's like something run by the NSA that is privately run.
But even then,
That's true.
Edward Snowden.
That's true. That's true.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
even then.
That's true.
Right?
And this is why we keep hitting on the fact that no matter what your social media platform, no matter what your app, no matter what your privacy settings, just understand that anything you post can become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and sold.
Yeah.
Just approach everything you do online with that fact.
Just make sure the social networks you're using, you can block people, you can report people, make sure you can adjust your privacy settings and your security settings.
And understand they're free for a reason. Yeah. Why? Because they're harvesting your personal information that they can monetize by selling to other people. That's why they're free. That's how they make their money.
How safe is email from tracking? Ooh, email is notorious for being trackable. Although, with Apple's email client now, at the Apple Mail client, they're actively removing trackers, and that's actually really angered a lot of marketing agencies because email marketing, even still today, is like the primary, most valuable marketing tool.
Yeah.
But now people were able to track if you were opening links in emails to track for data analytics. But now with like Apple Mail, you can't really do that anymore. So you're not getting that feedback. So, but
now, when you say Apple Mail, do you mean specifically their product Apple Mail? What if you're using an Apple device to use an email that isn't owned by Apple?
Oh, so you use Outlook maybe?
Yeah.
You download Outlook? From what I've seen, Outlook hasn't actively put as much privacy protection.
So it's only specifically to Apple.
Yeah, I'm sure Outlook, I haven't fully looked into, but I'm sure Outlook has some limitations.
And has Apple said that, like Google's a good example. We know that Google scans even draft emails. Has Apple said that they're not scanning emails in their servers?
Apple doesn't host email necessarily. Yes, sure. If you log into your Apple email client, the Apple Mail app, you log into a Google account, sure, the Google server is still going to see all the emails.
Right.
But in terms of like link tracking, no, because you click a link in your email on the Apple Mail client, Google's not going to know that.
Right.
So, but basically, email is generally pretty trackable.
Right.
Opinion on Microsoft Bing.
Go for it.
I mean, I use it to search for Google when I first install Windows.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as private as Firefox or Brave or stuff like that, right? Like I would consider Microsoft Bing very similar to Google, right? Like in that way. So if you're looking for a more secure and private server than Brave, DuckDuckGo, Ghostery are the ones. Firefox are the ones that we would recommend.
Should you read the terms and conditions for games?
Yes.
I mean, I sure, but I'll be honest. As a gamer myself, do I do that? No.
The other thing too about these terms of service, they're like 10 to 20 pages long in microprint, in which you need a magnifying glass to read them and a law degree, because they use words there that are like 20 letters long, and you're kind of going, what the heck does that mean? And so what do a lot of people do? Well, just accept, right? I just want to play the game. And therein lies the danger, because again, as soon as you hit accept, you may have just agreed to doing something that maybe you weren't aware of, but yet that's what they're doing, like collecting your information and selling it. Again, if it's free, that's exactly what it is they're doing. So
can proxy websites replace a VPN? Are there VPNs and free antivirus software you recommend? Can a proxy replace a VPN? No. Can it achieve similar outcomes? Possibly. A VPN is going to be more secure by default. Proxies do have a purpose and some value.
The free VPN one is interesting because, one of the things that we say is that stay away from free VPNs, because if they're free, they're collecting information and selling it. Number two, it can slow down your internet connection. However, what I forget sometimes is the socioeconomic status of maybe a teen. Maybe their family doesn't have the income to purchase a VPN. And, you can get really good VPNs for under $80 now for a 3-year subscription that you can put up to 10 devices. But, we do say wherever possible, stay away from free VPNs, but there may be some families where they just can't, right?
Yeah. And if you're going to pick a free VPN, pick one that a reputable one where they have like a premium popular paid for version.
That's a good point.
Because a lot of them have like a free trial or they give you a couple gigs of data usage. So just using one that's purely free, always free, and they don't have any other versions of that, I'm a little more cautious about. But look for the ones that have the free trials.
Yep.
Yeah. How reliable are VPNs?
Depends upon the VPN.
Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I know some of them have been tested in court where they basically, here's a legal court order, give over all your data, and they go, there's nothing to give you as a legal court challenge. So yeah, but there's so many smaller, just random ones out there that I wouldn't trust.
And some of them that are out there and free are designed to be malware as well, right? Like,
some have, yeah.
Yeah. So we always say go with a good premium VPN, but do your research as well. So that's what we did. That's one of the reasons why we chose PIA.
Yeah, we've used PIA. Nord's pretty good as well. So yeah, there are options.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on AI?
Well, I personally think, and then I'll hand it over to you, that AI is just a tool. It's like any other tool. It can be used for good or for bad. There's a lot of cool things going on with AI, and then there's some troubling things going on with AI, like what you investigated, which is the deep fake nudes, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely more pro AI than anti AI. I do recognize there are problems, but that's just with any tech. You know, there's a problem with Photoshop.
Yeah.
There's a problem with any other tool out there.
I do think that in the rush of social media platforms that integrate AI, that they put privacy by design in a back seat. I don't think they really gamed out some of the dangers of sort. And we're in the wild, wild west of AI. There's no doubt that it's transformative, much like the internet was when it first became public. And because of that, there's not a lot of guardrails being put in place. And so there are some bad actors doing some bad things with them. But having said that, I mean, we know of a case where a group of high school students used AI to discover a way to treat brain cancer, like high school students, not doctors, high school students. So it's like any other tool. You can use it for good or for bad, but I think we need just to have some more education on it. But in order to do that, parents and educators need education. And I'm just going to push on our website. If you go to our website, which is
whitehatter.ca.
Go to our web book. We have a whole chapter on AI, and it's free, on AI that we're constantly updating for parents and teens to understand AI.
What video games do you play, and have you ever played Siege, Fortnite, or Black Ops 6?
Okay, so as a boomer, my favorite game is World of War Tanks. That's my game. However, Brandon?
I have not played Siege. I do play Fortnite. We even stream it here on YouTube on Fridays and possibly a couple weekends. Maybe we'll see. I haven't gotten to Black Ops 6 yet. Don't know if I will. I mean, I've played the original Modern Warfares. I played the new versions. I'm not really feeling Black Ops 6, but maybe we'll see. Beyond that, I'm mostly...
You've done Valorant. Haven't you?
I've done Apex.
Yeah, you've done things like Roblox, Fortnite. I mean, you've played a lot of them, right?
Yeah. I definitely like simulation games and RPGs. Obviously, Baldur's Gate, Civilizations, Skylines.
I'm the boomer. World of War Tanks, man. World of Warships.
Do you have a Tesla? No. Would I want one? I don't know. There's a lot of recalls that seem to happen with Tesla.
Hey, we were in Vancouver yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
In the wild.
I know. Right?
I saw one. They actually look pretty cool. They're big. They're big. Yeah. Like they were big. They look cool.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good vehicle for the White Hatter.
No.
No? All right.
No. We're already cringy enough with our big white hats.
That's true.
Big white hat.
Yeah, but I saw one in the wild. It was like a dinosaur. I actually saw one. Yeah, I saw one.
Would we get one? I would probably want a different brand of electric car.
Yeah.
If I had to get one, I don't know.
Did you see what's going on? Like with the flood that happened in the United States, a lot of these battery operated cars, when they were getting wet, how these batteries were blowing up and causing fires. It was unbelievable. I know that fire departments are really concerned about this, right? When these vehicles are getting in accidents and watching when these batteries go, it's like, whoa, right? Really dangerous. So.
Yes. Yeah. What is the best part of your job?
Working with my son. Oh.
I was going to say helping students, but okay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not just helping students, but helping parents and educators, law enforcement. It's just putting the information out there. I always love to say we love what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, right? And it's just something that we really enjoy doing.
Why do people post nude photos?
All kinds of reasons why.
Oh, yeah, there's tons of reasons. Yeah. Of course, if we're talking about adults here, well, then, of course, people can post their own nudes.
Right.
We're talking about younger people under the age of 18. Things get quite challenging.
We talk about that in our presentation that we do specifically on that topic. And there's about 6 reasons why, because we asked teens, why do you do it? And some of them shared the reasons why, right? So there's a variety of different reasons. Again, if you go to our website and check out our web book and we have a whole chapter there on sexting, sextortion, we kind of talk about some of the reasons why teens actually do send nudes. I do think that it's important for parents and caregivers who may be knowing this, that it's not as if these teens are sending nudes to randos all over the place, right? Like most of them, and you've done most research on this, right?
Yep.
Would you not agree that most of these nudes that are sent within the context of a relationship?
95 to 98%.
Yeah. So
Are free anime or movie websites safe? It depends. If they're like free sites and the movie producers have actually licensed their movies to go onto those sites, that's different than if it's just a pirated site, right? If it's a pirating movie anime site, then you got challenges in regards to, yeah, there's some legal challenges there. There's safety challenges in regards to maybe some viruses and scams, but there are free, proper, official, ad-supported movie and TV show sites out there.
Yeah.
I can't remember the one that's top of my head. I think is Tubi one. I think that's one. There's a couple other. I think Crunchyroll has a free version. So
Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sushi dish. You can get a Crunchyroll in sushi, right?
They primarily host anime.
Oh, okay.
So go figure, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there are proper official licensed sites, but the piracy ones, a couple challenges there indeed.
For sure.
How many accounts do you actually manage?
I don't. He does.
I don't know.
I like to say that Brandon is my digital Yoda. I'm his digital Padawan. So when it comes to the company, he's the one that manages.
I would have to log into my password manager to give you a clear answer to that.
Let's just say that there's a few.
Let me see. All my gaming accounts since the beginning of online gaming, all the White Hatter ones, all our alternative ones, accounts we use for investigations, and then all my personal ones. I mean, the average adult has a minimum of about 90 accounts they manage. So
really?
Yeah.
That many?
That was a survey done a few years ago.
Wow.
Asking.
We can probably triple, if not quadruple that.
I know, right? So there's a lot for a lot of different reasons. And obviously I use a password manager to manage the majority of that.
And what is a password manager now that you brought it up? And what are some good ones?
They're just official apps that are in encrypted space to house passwords, manage and store them, so you don't have to remember every password.
So a good one like LastPass.
LastPass has some questionable challenges with it recently.
Okay. What about
1Password's good.
What about Apple?
Yep, Apple. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, Apple Keychain. Apple also has their own standalone app now. Oh. If you are a Google Android user, Google Chrome has passwords manageable in the Chrome browser.
So Apple has its own standalone keychain?
It's called Passwords now. Yes.
Oh, Apple Passwords.
That's in the new iOS updates.
Cool.
Yep. What do you play Fortnite on, and how long have you been playing?
That's your question, man, because I don't play Fortnite.
For me,
World of Tanks.
I'm a PC player. I play on PC, and I've been playing since, I don't know, I've been playing since they officially had no builds. I'm not really a big fan of the my gaming experience of the good old school like Call of Duties back in the old days of Call of Duty. So there wasn't really building in there. So I'm more comfortable in Fortnite no builds. So whenever they launched that is when I started.
I watched your last week's Fortnite on Friday, and I see that they had, is it called a build? And it looked very Halloweenish. Like Fortnite
Nightmares are now there.
Yeah,
so Fortnite will change things every few months.
Look very Halloweenish.
What do you do after streaming? Well, after we finish broadcasting the classrooms, we usually get ready for the next broadcast to a classroom.
And then if not, we're doing research, right, to stay updated. I mean, it was pretty funny. Yesterday, I was at a school. We did an in-person yesterday. I had over 1,500 grade 8 and 12s in this gym. It was just amazing. And when I share with them that I'm just about 60 years old, I had this one grade 11 student come up and shook my hand. They said to me, you know what? You're a boomer who actually gets it, right? And that's because we're doing so much research and we listen to teens, right? So, yeah.
What did hackers or scammers say in their interviews? Oh, from when my my master's degree was part of like interviewing hackers and learning what they do, and my approach was using the strategies that hackers use to trick you are the same strategies that marketers in brands use to trick you as well. It's actually, that was my research. Very interesting to see it's the same tactics.
Hey, aren't you doing a video pretty soon kind of on that issue to talk about, hey, listen, here we are talking about these social media platforms using all these tricks and techniques, but yet, non-social media type of platforms like Serial is a good example. They use the same basic technique.
Yeah. So what did they say? Well, the conclusion of the research was the same strategies brands use to market to you are the same things hackers do. That's basically what they shared. If you recognize a scam from another country, what do you do?
So if it's on a social media platform, then report it to the social media platform, because even if it's from another country, if it's in violation of the terms of service, then they could possibly still nuke the account, right? Anything else to suggest? I mean,
block it, delete it.
If it's something criminal, you can still report it to your local police department, because, crime knows no boundaries. And again, if it's happening within a NATO-based country, well, then there's nothing to stop, say, the RCMP in Canada from forwarding what's happening to the law enforcement or jurisdiction in the country and that happens quite often, right? So,
if you recognize the scam, are moderating systems on social media reliable?
Depends upon who the moderator is.
I think most major social networks do have a decent system. Are they going to catch everything? No, of course not. It's all automated, right? So things are going to get through the cracks. But that's just any kind of human interaction. You can never guarantee you meet someone, they're going to be mean and rude to you. You don't know. So you have to adjust accordingly. But yeah, they're pretty good. All the major ones. If you have mixed passwords for different accounts, can they still be hacked?
Depends upon the password you're using on different. Like if on one account you got A, B, C, D, and then the next one you got A, B, C, D, E, F, and then the next one is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Well, then yes, right? Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to the type of password you're using.
Brand's password number 1. Brandon's password number 2. That's not exactly what we mean by using different passwords.
Yeah, no.
Technically correct, but yeah. But yeah, even if you have a really complex password, sure, maybe the app you're logging into has a flaw. Hacker finds it and gets it.
And a lot of times these password managers that you talked about, they can actually generate a password for you that is highly encrypted, and they remember it. You don't need to remember it.
Are AI apps like ChatGPT and others safe?
Again, one of the things we always say about apps is it's not the app, it's how a person uses the app that makes it good or bad, right? The thing about AI is that whatever you're entering into it, just remember that they're collecting all that information. So one of the things, like we've seen a lot of businesses now using AI to generate like letters and forms and form letters. And one of the things that businesses need to be aware of is that if they're plugging in private personal information about a client into ChatGPT to kind of draft a letter, well, then the owners of ChatGPT are getting that information. Right?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful about that.
Which might now interact with any of your local privacy laws.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are allowed to share certain information of clients with an AI. Yeah, that's a big one. Why is it so difficult to catch hackers? Well, first off, you have to, in terms like in a court system, you have to prove it was the hacker who actually pressed the enter button, right? So just because a message came from a hacker account, how do you know their account wasn't being used by another person? You have to prove who was behind the keyboard.
I mean, a really good example of that is that if we track an IP to a specific house and the house has 6 people living in it, you have to prove which one of those people in the house are actually the ones that hit the send button.
Yep.
Right?
The other reason is small little hacks happen all the time. There are not enough police, courts, investigators to deal with them all. Yeah, the most serious stuff gets dealt with, but yeah, someone hacks into your account, your gaming account. Yeah, come on. The police aren't going to deal with that. They got more important things to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and I also think that technology, if this individual is good at what they do, they can really whatever. They can make themselves really hard to find online by
I'm not
using
even going to try that.
Tor and VPNs and these new VPNs that hop from VPN to VPN while you're using it makes it even harder as well. And so, yeah,
not impossible, but that requires a lot of investigative resources that again are only going to be used for the most significant serious.
Like I'm aware of a investigation that took place by a police force here in Canada on one incident, and it was over $500,000 of time and effort put in for one case. So there's no way financially law enforcement agencies are going to be able to do that for every single case.
Yeah.
And a lot of these hackers, they go after the low hanging fruit, right? Like they're going after, $100 here, $400 there, $1,000 here. And that's not enough in order to get law enforcement involved. But the sad thing behind that is that a lot of credit card companies, is a good example. They accept that as a part of doing business. Like our credit card was compromised, and I was able to track this person. I actually found out where they worked and that kind of stuff in Ontario, and I gave it to the credit card company, and they said, Darren, to be quite honest with you, we're not going to do anything about it, right? Like it was only $500, and the time and effort we're going to have to put into. So they accept. But what does that mean? That means our rates go up, right? So, but anyways, okay, rant off.
How do you get rid of pop-ups? There are pop-up blockers like for browsers. Some work, some don't. Some are workarounds. Generally, if a program is intending you to have a pop-up, there might be something you can't do. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
A lot of those browsers we mentioned, like the Browse or the Brave browser, automatically does it for you, right?
They try to.
Some of the ones that are more privacy oriented do a really good job. Are they able to stop all of it? No, but they can stop a lot of it.
What are the most serious issues you have faced?
Presently, it's sextortion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of control, right? Like it's at epidemic levels right now. And what scares me is what's going on with AI, the deep fakes. But what even scares me more is I'm now very well aware of the new AI video technology that is now out there, where they're going to be able to take a still picture of somebody and now turn that still picture into a hypersexualized porn video. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's just going to destroy young people's lives. And what really concerns me is how, and I'm gonna be gender specific here, it seems to be teen boys that are using this more against teen girls, thinking it's funny and not understanding that when these things go public, they can be devastating at an emotional, psychological, and social level, where it's going to push young people into suicidal thoughts and ideations to the point where some may even take their lives. Like we've already had a number of teens, 5 in our country, take their lives by suicide because of this stuff. I think once this gets amped up using the video stuff that's coming out, it's going to be worse, right? So this is why our messaging to schools is now, let's educate the kids and the teens and the parents about this. And saying to teens, hey, listen, you guys need to crowdsource yourselves and understand that if you know there's a student using this, then immediately bring it to the attention of a teacher, a counselor, a principal, your parents, so that it's dealt with before something gets posted, right?
How can we prevent viruses from getting into our devices? Antivirus is a good first step, of course. Making sure what you're downloading are from proper, legitimate app stores, not downloading rando things from random people on random websites, then you're going to have some problems.
Yeah, the issue with virus and antivirus protection is important, but it is a game of catch up. They're usually a couple days behind, right? Because in order for them to create counter tactics, they need to know about it, right? But having good antivirus software is important.
Is it possible to remove viruses manually? It is technically, but most people don't know how. So probably not very likely.
Now, a lot of the anti-malware software will do that for you automatically, right?
Yeah. How did you get into this line of work, and why do you do it?
Okay, I'll start. I started the company with Mom before you got involved because of my role in policing and noticing that a lot of young people, a lot of crime was moving over to there. And then when you were born, you got involved. You were the first generation to get involved in this kind of stuff. So that interested me. And then from there, because of your interest, over to you.
Yeah, well, I was learning about hackers and scammers when I was in like middle school, finding an interest in this stuff. So using that tech experience, being a tech nerd, and then also liking to help people really kind of fits in well with what we do here today.
Yeah, for sure.
Why do people go live?
Because it's cool.
It's cool. It's a really cool way to get closer interaction with an audience. Yeah, you could record a video and post it, but it's kind of cold, kind of distant.
Yeah, I've seen some teens have like live video blogs that are just spectacular in showing their interests, their hobbies, what it is they're doing. In fact, we know teens that have earned jobs because of what it is that they've done that way, right? So
how would we contact you? Well, we're on most major social networks, not them all, and we're not hard to find. We have open DMs on most major social platforms. We do have an email. We do have phone numbers. We have tons of ways to connect.
that you can find on our website, which is
thewhitehatter.ca.
And we also have a 1-800 number for those teens and parents who live in Canada and the United States, where you can call us toll free.
How many questions do you get in one day?
It depends upon how many schools we've taught. Like that one school last week or whatever, over 500 questions, right? Like it was holy moly, which is really cool, right? Like that's one of the things about streaming. When we were doing our in-person presentations, we were lucky to get 10, 15 questions from audiences because they were afraid of peer embarrassment. But now that we've gone live virtual and that we have this Q&A function that is fully moderated and private and anonymous, we're just getting a ton of questions out that we were never asked when we were doing the in-school presentations.
Yep. Have you ever been scammed?
Not me.
No, I mean, I've
Only by you. Dad, I need this. Oh God. Okay, here we go.
I've had old gaming accounts of mine like hacked. That wasn't really a scam necessarily.
We kind of scam your mom when we knew stuff, right? Because she's the keeper of the key for the bank account. So, Mom, we need this, right? And then we ask for what's the old saying? Ask for forgiveness after you're right. So.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not really scamming her, but.
Why do you wear the white hat during your broadcasting?
I don't.
I do.
I know. So
that's part of the question from me during one of my programs. Yeah. We don't have to. There's no official rule that a white hatter has to do that, but I do.
It's a part of our branding. Like I'm wearing it full time during the Q&A session right now, right? It's just a part of our branding, and it looks cool. It looks cool. It's just that because I'm a boomer, like my hat would be falling off all the time during the presentation because I move all over the place. So that's why I don't wear mine during the presentation.
Mm-hmm. What is your Fortnite username?
That's for you.
Oh, for me, when I stream on the White Hatter, I use White Hat Brand, which is the username that I use when I'm doing Fortnite. Yeah. And where do you live? We live in Victoria, British Columbia.
Canada. And, we live on Vancouver Island. What's funny for people who've never been to Vancouver Island before, when we say we're on an island, people think it's a little thing, right? Like to get from the tip of Vancouver Island, the southern tip to the northern tip of Vancouver Island, if you're driving, I think it's about 12 or 14 hours. In order for you to get over to Vancouver Island, you got to take a ferry from the mainland, from basically Vancouver over here to Victoria, which is about a 90-minute boat ride on a ferry. So yeah. Beautiful part of the country. Beautiful part.
When they are working.
Yeah, when they're working. I like to call it we're the California of Canada, right? Like we're on the West Coast. We're about a 4-hour or 3-hour boat ride north of Seattle. Like when you look out of our windows, if you look off the shores, we can look across. You can see the United States, the Olympic Mountains, right? Yeah. Of the United States. So yeah, beautiful part of the world.
And those were the top upvoted questions.
Some good questions.
From October. Thank you all so much for being a part of our broadcasting and learning from us. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.